It's actually almost midnight. Um, I am Anatoly Anatolisva, and this is Patriots Must Rise. Welcome to the bunker. The Bible says that in the last days there will be tons of conflict, wars and rumors of wars, famine, um, people acting like animals. Well, just look at Democrats. Um, but we've seen this before, and every time times get hard throughout history, people start talking about this particular moment in time being being the ramp up to the last days. I think we know better than that because history has actually shown that that's the case. However, um, there are some interesting factors. The the horsemen of famine, the seal's broken, a voice cries out, uh, a serving of barley costs a day's pay, a serving of wheat costs a day's pay, but do not touch the oil or the wine. I've always taken that to mean that food's going to be expensive, but it's not that we don't have food. It's that the bulk of the people would rather pay for things like their internet and their pay for things like their internet and their liquor, stuff like that, instead of actually prioritizing for the things that they actually need, which we are seeing a lot. I mean, let's face it. At the beginning of this pandemic, this last pandemic, we saw exactly how stupid the liberals are and how little they know about survival. By that I mean they were literally buying up toilet paper instead of food. Now, I'm not saying toilet paper is not important, but why were the canned food aisles not bare? I'm just saying. Priorities are askew. Seriously. Tonight, my wife and I found out that our pastor has been relieved of his position because, well, who knows about church politics? But the reason that he gave, and he said the church told him, was he was not taking the church in the direction that they felt it needed to go. I'm not sure what that means. At this point, I don't care. I have no plans on going back because this is the second pastor that I've seen them do this to in the in the past year. Maybe 2 years. And it just does not sit well with me. Now, a good church nowadays is actually very hard to find. I refuse to go to a church where the pastor will actually introduce him or herself with pronouns. It just turns my stomach. So right now, I have an idea of where we might be going, but don't really know at this point. I'm kind of hoping that Pastor Daniel will step out on his own, and I mean, he's got enough of a congregation from the English speaking service that will probably follow him, that he would be supported by the tithing. And I hope that's actually the case. So anyway, we see a lot of stuff going on still in Ukraine. We see Hamas, and now the liberal press is trying to say that Vladimir Putin was saying that he would back Hamas. As soon as Susie read that headline, she asked me.
They weren't saying he was going to back Hamas. They were saying he called the Iran and them first, and then like kind of loosely threatened.
Ah, cool. Okay.
So it wasn't that he was backing Hamas, but that.
So okay, so he's actually the Russian radio was actually saying exactly what Susie just said. That he contacted the leaders of Hamas. He told them that this has to stop, or you will receive air attacks for the next 70 days, and there will be nothing left of the Gaza Strip. He even named the squadron that would be doing the raids, that happens to be stationed only 30 miles away. So
they made it kind of sound like he was more on the other side.
Yeah, they do that. They do make it sound like he's the bad guy no matter what. But he's actually supporting Iran. All right. Israel. And threatening Iran and Hamas as well as anybody that does not support Israel. I really, really pray that means that Joe Biden will die soon. Please, please. Are you listening? Please. But as you know, we've got a lot of stuff happening all at once, and people start talking about the last days. There was a comment that passed by in the 1500s. I believe it was Haley. I'm not sure if it was or not, but it got so close to the atmosphere that it actually started France on fire. And
What?
and the vineyards that survived it, the wine that came from that particular year, the year of the comet, are like this prize collector's item that nobody dares to drink because it's so valuable, because there was no wine that actually came out of France at that time because of the comet. Nothing grew. It was an interesting time. It was also around the time of one of France's revolutions. In fact, I think it might have inspired one of France's revolutions. By all means, please look it up. But you look at what do you? Look up the year of the comet.
I will in a minute. But no, that news report made it sound like he contacted Iran and the leaders of Hamas and all those that they think are evil, China, that kind of stuff. And then he contacted the leader of Israel and laid out a bunch of rules or whatever they had to do. And he went to God or Israel to talk to them and this kind of stuff. So it's almost made it sound like being threatening. And what you told me he was saying was something.
Oh no, he was promising Hamas.
But they didn't say he contacted Hamas and was backing them. But it was Iran and the others that he supposedly contacted first, and then he contacted the leader of Israel and said a bunch of rules or something like that.
Yeah, he was promising Hamas that if this was going to continue, they would not be alive.
No, nowhere in the article did he say he was backing Hamas, but it did make it sound like he was more supportive of Iran. And Hamas is not just. That's another thing that came out recently is one of our embassies in Lebanon was attacked. And American citizens are being threatened there. So, no, it wasn't that he showed any support of Hamas necessarily, but according to the article, he contacted Iran and Beirut and a couple others or something.
Okay.
And it made it sound, then he contacted the leader of Israel with a bunch of conditions. And that's why I was saying that I can see, because he's pretty no nonsense. And he expressed condolences and about the attacks and that he was sorry for that. But what was going on in Gaza needed to be controlled or something like that. And that's not what you said he was making it sound like.
Oh, it definitely wasn't.
But I could kind of see his viewpoint on that if that's what he was saying.
You were actually hearing Putin.
I know, but
part
let me
of
explain where I could see him taking stand on that. Because I'm sorry that you have people that were taken hostage. I'm sorry that this stuff is going on, but continuing to attack and blow up hospitals and that kind of stuff in the Gaza Strip against other innocents isn't going to fix the problem. If you're going to do it, just make it one big strike and get it over with.
Exactly. And
so I could see him saying that, and that he would be valid in that point. Now, I could see Westerners not liking that view.
Yeah, I don't understand why people don't like Putin.
But I could see his stance on that because he's pretty no nonsense. It's like you get it out of the way, quit playing around, quit playing into their hand, and just end it.
Well, maybe I do understand why some people don't like Putin, because honestly, he views American liberals as a cesspool um of scum.
And I'd be completely honest with you, those that are that were taken hostage out of Israel, if I was one of them right now, just kill me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Just kill me. I'm already being tortured to death. Blow them the fuck up.
Exactly.
I had been to the one pretty tortured. I'd rather have just died. Thank you.
But
at this point, thankfully, I didn't. I survived and I've had something of a life. But at the time,
you're the comment.
Hold on.
Hey.
I believe you, honey. I will look it up in a little bit.
Okay, that has nothing to. Okay, I thought she was looking it up.
I already said 3 or 4 times. I'm not doing it right this second. I love you.
Okay, anyway, the point of the comet was it became a catalyst for people picking up all kinds of or reviving all kinds of medieval superstitions, and talking about fingers of fire, Sodom and Gomorrah, all kinds of stuff. And I believe this was actually near or around the time of the Spanish Inquisition and stuff like that. So the Catholic Church was being very militant against heretics, and it was not exactly friendly to anybody that was speaking out contrary to what they might have been saying. What's interesting about the whole thing, though, is they got people so scared that they actually prolonged a famine that didn't have to be prolonged. I mean, if people would have been actually tending to their crops, actually planting their crops, whatever radiation or whatever that the comet put into the atmosphere would have dissipated, and the next year or the year after that would have probably been fine as far as their food supplies and stuff like that. But history's full of a lot of weird oddities. I mean, Metatron on YouTube talks a lot about the Catholic popes, and he even mentioned how one of them basically exterminated all the cats in Rome because of some kind of superstition. I'm not really too versed on that story, but I thought it was interesting. I didn't even know about it. But in times like this, people tend to go toward their superstitions. They feed into their fears. And even if it is the last days, wouldn't it be better to actually go forward and live your life as if you wanted to live and actually enjoy life, instead of being fearful whether or not you're actually going to even wake up in the morning? I mean, that's no way to live. Anyway, that's what I have. Have a good night. Until next time, I'm Anatoliana Chalisva, and this is Patriots Must Rise. Please live free, die well, and love your neighbor as Christ has loved you.